This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is May 11th, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on, bro? How are you?
5 days. 5 days until we are packing Wall Street, conversing, eating good food, drinking good drinks, and watching the Magic win the number one pick. I can't wait.
Speaking of the food, we haven't looked at the menu yet. There are so many venues down there. I think there's 5 separate venues. I think the Monday episode, because I don't have the menus up in front of me, I think we have to go through the menu for the Monday episode. We do that every watch party. Anytime we have a watch party anywhere, you and I have to make sure that we set aside some time to do that on the next episode.
You got
maybe go through all the venues that are down there and be like, these are our top 3 must-haves or must-tries.
Yep. We'll do that on Monday, like you said. The Magic have officially started to, and do their promo for the watch party. And they did a Facebook event as well, and they got 96 interested. So we'll see how that continues. I wonder what the, carryover is between our RSVP link and interesteds, but it's who knows. I'll go ahead. I'm marking myself right now. Adding is going. So we'll see what pans out with it. But they started that, so feel free to go to their Facebook event and RSVP there or whatever you want to do. But there's going to be a lot of people.
I marked myself as going as well, even though I probably didn't need to. I was like, yeah, what the heck? I'm already here. So if you are unaware, coming up in 5 days is going to be the NBA Draft Lottery. And like we did last year, we're partnering with the Orlando Magic and Michelob Ultra to host this year's NBA Draft Lottery watch party. We're going to be downtown Orlando at Wall Street Plaza on Tuesday, May 16th, this coming Tuesday at 7 o'clock. The NBA Draft Lottery is going to start at 8 o'clock. We've been pushing this event for, I think, close to 2 months now, I think, Luke. And we're up over 530 RSVPs. All of last year, we had 111. So we're right. 400 plus more than where we were last year. And that's just awesome to be able to see. I'm really excited to see what the actual turnout is going to be and just what the energy is going to be like. We've got some maybes on kind of what the setup is going to be. And if it's what we've heard, it's going to be really awesome. I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Luke, I wanted to ask you really quickly. I know you can't really see me from here, but I've been working out quite a bit, and all my shirts. If you've ever started going to the gym, what was that?
I said I can see it through the screen.
You can see it through the screen, right? When you've been going to the gym for several weeks in a row, and all of a sudden you're putting your shirts on, they're a little bit tighter on your chest, a little bit tighter on your arms than they were before. I was looking at pictures of me from the last NBA Draft Lottery, and that Shaq jersey was hugging the old muffin top a little bit more than I would like. So I've been I'm going to go with the Penny jersey this year, just in spirit of, how everything went 30 years ago. You draft Shaquille O'Neal, you don't have great odds the next year, but you end up with the number 1 overall pick anyway, and you trade, the rights to Chris Webber to the Golden State Warriors for Penny Hardaway. So I'm going to go with Penny. I'm hoping that, the old Penny jersey is going to be a little bit kinder to the muffin tops this year. You can't really tell, but your boy's getting some guns over here, Luke. I don't know if you realize.
I mean, like I said, I see it through the screen. Everybody lie to Jonathan in the comments and say that you see it too.
All right. Well, I wanted to this to be a segue into the lifestyle changes, that we've both made. You've been very open about your kidney stone experience, and you're switching caffeinated beverages, so there's no calcium oxalate.
Yeah.
So you've got that going for you. We've both been drinking a ton of water. We were talking about this earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting stuff. You're getting healthy. You got kids. You want to be around for your kids, a long, long time.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, the older you get, the sooner, like the older you get, you become more conscious of like, I don't want to, lose weight just to lose weight for my appearance. Like I want to lose weight so I'm healthy and these things don't happen to me. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the things with, kidney stones, albeit not a like huge inconvenience, detrimental to like your health, but it still is very annoying. Like, if you're a dude, you like have a stent and that is terrible. If you've had it, you know what I'm talking about.
You still have
But
yours, right?
I got mine removed.
I thought so you got it removed. Didn't they like switch out for like an old
They
one?
switched it
and
out
put a new
because they're
one
like,
in?
yo, you're swollen. And, we don't know if you're going to be able to urinate if we don't put a stent in because you're so swollen. And I was like, all right. So they put a stent in.
Like, I ain't
Thankfully,
swollen. This is all me.
I got that thing on me too. And then on Tuesday, yesterday,
so that was yesterday. For some reason, I thought it was Thursday.
They pulled, the replacement stent. So,
how did they remove that,
dude?
The way really that I'm thinking.
And so much more. It's just, yeah.
It wasn't swollen before. It is now.
Yeah. So.
So they pull it just straight out the front exit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Did they numb you for that?
A little numbing gel, a little laughing gas, and it's kind of like when you're getting a tooth pulled. It's just a little different. You know when they give you laughing gas,
you're getting something else pulled.
Yeah. So yeah, but still goes back to my point. You get older, and the things that you do, like as a result, I'm drinking a ton of water, trying to hit that gallon mark daily, and have a thing at work that I'm always constantly going down and filling up the water. How many
times a day are you peeing,
dude? I don't know.
16?
It's crazy. It's like I feel it almost puts a hit on my productivity at work. I'm just constantly going to the bathroom because I'm drinking so much water. But what I'm saying and what I'm getting at is that like that just happens to be like I will get healthier because of that, So there's a little bit of a byproduct. But yeah, that's the older you get, man. You start realizing that health is the reason you make these changes, or should be. And then, if you end up looking good in the process, then that's great. But, I already got, my wife anyway. So I,
You're like, I'm good.
Who am I to feel like I needed to lose a ton of weight? But I will. So, as a result.
Yeah, I noticed that I lost a ton of weight during COVID. Like when we weren't going anywhere, I was like, man, I can't just eat whatever I want. I'll weigh 800 pounds. So I almost stopped eating. I would have one meal a day, and I lost like 20 pounds during COVID. And the years following, like the initial 6 months where nobody was going anywhere, I've put on like almost like 30 pounds since then. So I got to my heaviest ever, and I was like, whoa, this is not cool. I got to start, doing, something. I could probably still do a little bit better of a job. But yeah, when you start drinking the water, man, it's like every 10 minutes you're going to the bathroom. Like it's really insane. Like the days where I hit my, watermarks where I drink 3 or 4 of these babies, this is like 34 ounces here. I'm going nonstop. And I've heard that it's not something that your body ever gets used to. If you drink a lot of water, you're just always going to be going to the bathroom nonstop, but you feel a lot better. And that's the most important thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Wanted to let you guys know that our friends over at FOCO, they've released the Rookie Series Paolo Banchero bobblehead for pre-order this year. They released the City Edition jersey Paolo Banchero bobblehead for pre-order this year. And now to commemorate his winning Rookie of the Year, FOCO is coming out with a Rookie of the Year edition Paolo Banchero bobblehead that is up for pre-order now at FOCO.com. The only thing is we don't know what it looks like yet. But FOCO, in my opinion, they have never let us down. Like I have 4 or 5 FOCO Orlando Magic bobbleheads over there, and they're all fantastic, all super high quality. So I think it's a pretty limited run. I think they're making 96 of them. So if you want one of these limited edition Paolo Banchero Rookie of the Year bobbleheads, you can pre-order yours at FOCO.com. Be sure to do that. Luke, this next part isn't really Orlando Magic news necessarily, but it is, I guess, Orlando Magic adjacent. So, Orlando Magic co founder Pat Williams, the last few years, he's been championing this campaign for Orlando to get a professional MLB, a baseball team, the Orlando Dreamers. And this week, they said there was going to be this announcement from Pat Williams, and really it was, they're making like their official bid, and now they have these renderings of what the stadium would potentially look like, in Orlando. So we're really only bringing this up because Pat Williams co-founded the Orlando Magic, and now he's trying to, I guess, find, or would that be finding a MLB team? Would that be founding? I guess it would be founding, right? He wants to find. He wants to make an MLB team, folks. Luke, what are your thoughts on this? I know you're not a big baseball guy.
It's true. I don't know that I really care one way or the other. I'll tell you when I will care. I'll care when there's a baseball team in Orlando, and there's at some point some type of overlap with the seasons, and I've got some crazy traffic in Orlando on a random day of the week. That's when I'll care, and it won't be a good caring. I think it's cool. I mean, it's Pat Williams. You can't really doubt him with what he's doing, regardless of age. He's getting up there, but he's still doing this stuff, which I think is really cool. I thought to myself the other day, I was like, when I'm his age, will I, like, where will my head be? Like, will I want to do stuff that, it obviously would leave a legacy for him, but it's like, will I care enough? And the dude cares. The guy is always doing something. He wants to do something. He wants to leave his thumbprint wherever he can leave it. And he's already left it in Orlando, but he's going to be able to do it even more if this does come to fruition. I think the name is terrible. I think the renderings are terrible. There's way too much going on. There's way too much going on in the stadium. Like, you've seen the renderings.
Any rendering, they want to make it seem like they're making as much money as possible.
Right. Well, my fear is that it will be too busy in there. Like, that there's too, because you're called the Dreamers. It just feels like you need to make it, bright, and I don't know. I don't love what I've seen as far as branding, which I think a lot of people can share the sentiment. I think it'd be fine for the city of Orlando, but it's like, we're really trying to boost the traffic in Orlando in general, like the people. You've already got Disney and Lake Buena Vista. Like, what do we do? Why do we need to do this? We don't need to do this. But I don't know. I fix Tampa first. Fix the Rays. That's what I say you put your funding towards. Fix that dump of a stadium.
Oh my goodness. I don't think you can fix the Trop, unfortunately. So where I'm coming from, obviously a lot of our listeners know I grew up closer to Tampa, so I know a lot of Rays fans. Like, almost every baseball fan in my life is like a diehard Rays fan. And I've probably been to, 15, 20 games at the Trop in my lifetime, more often than not. Like, it's just during the summers, growing up, it's something to do. You and, some friends pile in somebody's car, and everybody drives down to, St. Pete and watch the Rays in a mostly empty stadium. Me and the Rays are killing it this year, obviously. Where I'm coming from is like, get the Rays a new stadium. Like, they play in a glorified warehouse right now. That's what it looks like when you're in there.
It's terrible.
Get them a new stadium in a prime location in Tampa, not in St. Pete, in Tampa, whether that's like downtown Tampa, whether it's like closer to Oldsmar, or if it's in Ybor or whatever. Get the Rays a better location, because it's not even, for me, it's not so much the Trop. It's that it takes me an hour and 20 minutes to get down to St. Pete to get to the game. It takes me 2 hours to get home, because you're spending anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes just trying to get out of like either the parking lot or the immediate area in downtown St. Pete surrounding the Trop. It's just in a horrible location. Just get it to an area where, more fans can go to the games. Mm-hmm. So if Orlando gets a team, that's great. But for me, it's like Tampa, the Rays are really struggling to the point where the owner wants them to split half the season, between Tampa and Montreal, which I think is a ridiculous idea. But like, y'all, let's get the Rays figured out. And, I know it's not really related to Orlando kind of doing its own thing, but I would be pretty surprised if the MLB wants to put a team in Orlando with the struggles that the Rays have had. And at that point, they're 2 hours from where the Rays play. I think from St. Pete to Orlando, it's about 2 hours. So I'm happy for Pat Williams. And to answer your question, when I'm 80 something years old, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be in Rome eating spaghetti, or I'm going to be on a beach somewhere with something fruity in my hand. I'm going to be chilling, enjoying my last days. I'm not going to be trying to accomplish anything. I'm just going to be enjoying my family. Maybe I'll be fat and happy, and I'll just be chilling on a beach somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Trying to accomplish everything that I can now. We're out here trying to make moves, trying to make things happen. But yeah, it'll be interesting to follow this Dreamers campaign and see how it all pans out. But for Pat Williams' sake, I wish them nothing but the best of luck. Now, at this point of the show, we would like to give our wonderful patrons, the folks that help financially support the show and help make every episode and every event possible. If you're ever interested in helping financially support the show and partnering with us in helping us just kind of continue the mission of the Six Man Show, which just really is to expand the Orlando Magic fan base, make for more passionate and knowledgeable fans. If you want to join us in that mission, you can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. We're as low as $2 a month. Plus, we have other tiers with additional benefits where you can help support the show. We shout out brand new patrons whenever we have them. So if you join the Patreon right now, we will be shouting you out on the next episode. And then we shout out all of our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons on every single episode. Right now, we're up to 60 of them. But as always, we'll start by shouting out the Court Cousins and then Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, The Distract, Donkey Punch Dave, pictureofhotdog.com, love that, Pierre A, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Hosea Squealin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Barus, Half Rican, Shahin 177, Bobby the Don, Himlo Band, Himro, RM Prof 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Let's Spank Don't Tank, Soft Taco, Jesse, Johnny B, Fuego Nando, Victor Cologne, Phantom Wolf 72, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Bobo, his first name is his last name, Only Franz, Maria. A big shout out to all of our Hall of Fame tier patrons, Elite tier patrons, and all of our patrons. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. For our listeners, Luke, this week we have something a little bit special. It is the off season, so relying on your listeners/followers to help you with content is always fun. So we're going to do a little mailbag. I don't know exactly what we're calling it. We've done these in the past. But we're going to do a little mailbag episode where we asked you all for questions on Twitter, and we got a ton of really great questions. We're going to use 4 different questions that we're going to go through here. We're going to alternate. So I'll prompt the first one, and then Luke will, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth. Obviously, we're both going to answer these questions. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with this question from CGCGT on Twitter. A fantastic question. He asks, Luke, why are the Magic always included in these trash, fake trades? SMH, shaking my head, laughing out loud. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think the answer is obvious. I mean, what do you usually see? What's in common? Like, what's the common denominator with every one of these trades that the Magic are involved in? That knee-jerk reaction is there's no chance that we're doing that. The common denominator is it's always a successful team that's involved or a big market team. Sometimes both. The one that I think people are talking about most today is someone put out there a trade that involved the Magic and the Warriors. the Jordan Poole has melted down in the postseason, so naturally everybody in Golden State's fan base is trying to trade him. If that's smart or not, I don't know, but he has looked terrible in this postseason. But the Magic were, the ones that were, getting the short end of the stick. Because what was the trade? It was like Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac. I saw another one that was Markelle Fultz and Wendell for Jordan Poole. Like, it's just a bunch of these trades. It's like you are not thinking about the Magic. You also don't have any pulse on how we feel about these players you're trying to trade away. Jonathan Isaac, that's one thing. But to put Markelle Fultz in a trade, you're out of your mind. And doubly out of your mind if you're trying to put Wendell in one of these trades too. That doesn't yield, like, they're assets to us. They're assets to the front office. And it's only because of that. It is literally the only reason is because they're not thinking about the Magic and they just want to get good players for the Magic, but they don't want to give that in return. So that's really my answer, and I think that's really one of the only answers.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You hit it spot on. It's like, oh, this fruit has now gone bad for us. What sucker can we trade this to and get like some of their best players back? Yeah. Like it's just never going to happen. Like Jordan Poole, who over the next couple of seasons is going to make like $1 bajillion, who sure last season, played like a max player, at least in terms of what his max was going to be, and then contributed to them winning a title. I think you can't really discount that. Like I feel like too many people are like totally writing Jordan Poole off to a certain extent. That being said, I'm not giving up Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz for Jordan Poole. Like you're trading two of those guys if you're going out and trading for like a guy that is going to be a star. He has shown star potential flashes, but has not shown star level consistency. I would throw up, not figuratively, I would literally vomit. I would convulse and vomit if the Magic traded Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter and we're just getting Jordan Poole back. And to your point, it seems like these big market teams think that the smaller market teams just exist to be this like asset fodder to big markets. Just give us nothing, and we're gonna, and we're gonna send, just our best players to you because we're a big market, and the NBA is better when big market teams are good. Like we've seen this for years with the Lakers, with the Heat fans especially. We've seen this. Even to some regard with Toronto fans, we've seen this with Knicks fans. We're seeing it now with Golden State Warrior fans. And part of it, like we always talk about how other teams like don't watch the Magic. They don't pay attention to the Magic, how members of the media don't pay attention to the Magic. But then all of a sudden it's like you guys are looking to get two of our best players for what to you essentially seems like scraps. So it's like you're not really paying attention, but you also kind of realize that these guys are better than most people realize, and that's why you're trying to trade for them. Yeah. Another thing that I keep seeing now is the Magic should waive Jonathan Isaac. Where is this coming from? Who cares that he's going to be our highest paid player next year at $17.4 million when the Magic could have plenty of cap space if they wanted it, and the risk to reward with Jonathan Isaac is just still much too high to say, we've invested all this time into you. We've invested all this money into you. Well, now is going to be the point that we waive you. When all things considered, it looks like he had a minor adductor injury that we all suspect by this time he's 100% back from and should be ready for training camp. Unless additional news comes out that like he's hurt something else, then sure, maybe we can have that conversation. But like nothing has changed in the last 5 weeks with Jonathan Isaac, and now people are coming out of the woodwork that the Magic. I don't want to like blast anybody, but I saw an article from Orlando Magic Daily today. It was not Philip Rossman Reich. I know that not everyone's opinions over there have to align for them to push articles. Just like our writers, we don't have to have the same opinion for them to write something that they want to write. But there was a suggestion that one of the players the Magic need to part ways with is Jonathan Isaac. And I just think that is so stupid, so ridiculous. Teams around the league would be licking their chops if the Magic were to waive Jonathan Isaac because, again, the risk to reward with that kid is still so incredibly high.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess it's because it happened at the end of the season. That injury, obviously, the adductor and all that happens near the end of the season. So he's out for the rest of the season. So maybe to people in all of their dramatic thinking, they think it's the same as like a season-ending injury. And like technically, yeah, but the dude's going to be good to go. So that's the frustrating part. Is I think that people are like, "Oh, he just had another season-ending injury," and it's like, well, don't be dumb. And you loved him, gushing over him when he came back and was playing well. But those were probably the same people that were talking about getting rid of him before he came back anyway. I will say, if he has another injury that's got him out for more than a few weeks in the next calendar year, then we can have the conversation. Absolutely. Or if it's like, very beginning of the season he gets injured, it's just an irritating thing. Sure, we can have the conversation. But what's one more shot? And
Where I'm at with JI is like he needs to play like 50 to 60 games, like somewhere in there. Like if we have a season of where like he has multiple stretches of missing like 10 or 15 games and he ends up playing like 35, 40 games next year, then I'm like, all right, now we're taking a good look at really moving on from him. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to pull up Spot Track right now. I believe he's only got one more year on his deal after this year. Yeah, so it's 17.4 this year and then at 17.4 in 2024, 2025. So, yeah, you have another just injury riddled year with him. Like I get it at that point, like moving on, but the flashes that he's shown, and first of all, we just never heard of the nature of the injury with JI. So I'm good with trying it one more year. If he gets hurt again, then like sure, then it just seems like it's never going to end. Some people it already seems like that, but the risk to reward is just way too high for just waiving him and letting him go to another team just to save $10 million. I think it's silly. Next question.
Yeah. So the next question here, I apologize if I say, I don't know if it's your last name, but Eric Naxted, he asked on Twitter, Jonathan, when you look through the Magic current top 10 players from last season in minutes per game, who stands out as falling out of the rotation or increasing their role? With the draft and free agency, things will change. Just curious where. I'll let you take the first crack at this one.
Well, I guess I'll just list out like the top 10 players in minutes per game right now. And then, just feel free to like jump in. So
Right.
I think we can excuse Terrence Ross. He's no longer on the team, but he was listed at 8 this year.
8.
So it's Paolo Banchero, number 1, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Bol, Moritz Wagner, and then Chuma Okeke.
Yeah. I separated, so I listed this out and I kind of separated the groups. I separated them in those that are absolutely going to be playing next year and will, without a doubt, get minutes. And I separated them with those that, they're kind of on the edge, whether it be like because they're a free agent this offseason or because they fell out of rotation and got a lot of DMPs, that sort of thing. So your first 7 is basically Paolo down to Jalen Suggs, in my opinion. Paolo, Franz, Gary Harris is, who knows really, but I would expect if he's on the team, he's going to play minutes in some way or another. So Paolo, Franz, Dell, Fultz, Cole, Gary, and Jalen. Then your next group is kind of, Bol, Mo Wagner, Chuma, Caleb Houston. Bol to me is the first one. I know that you did you talked about him recently and how you think he could still obviously develop, and he could, but I just don't know given the trend that we saw last year. Bol played 21 and a half minutes per game and only 15 in his last 25. He played 70 total games, started 33, but the bulk of his minutes took place in his first 25 games when the Magic were 5-20, where he played 26 minutes a game. So he plays 26 minutes a game. He's a free agent in 2024. Non-guaranteed. This $2.2 million this offseason becomes guaranteed in June. I don't know. It does seem like a, low risk, high reward if he does pan out. But I just don't know that you're going to find, really want to find minutes, that you're going to fight to find minutes for him on this team. So for me, in my opinion, I'm moving him to the bottom of that second group, to be honest, one of the bottom people. But I don't know, then you got Mo Wagner. He's a free
To me,
agent.
Chuma is at the bottom. I don't see Chuma being on this team next season.
So my order going from bottom to top in that second group is Chuma, Bull, Caleb, Mo Wagner. You can interchange Mo Wagner and Caleb because I wouldn't be shocked either if Mo isn't on the team. I think that he has an argument, but that's kind of the bottom four as far as minutes that are going to be fighting. Caleb Houston, you just drafted him. He showed some good things, but I mean, I know you love Caleb Houston, but his rookie year was not awesome.
What?
And so I don't. Dude,
No,
have you seen his splits?
I'm just kidding.
Okay, please.
I'm totally kidding.
You got me fired up.
I love
there.
Caleb, but I feel like without a big jump in shooting efficiencies, like if he comes into training camp and if he shoots like 45% from three in summer league and then is just like killing it in training camp, I think he has a path to minutes. But outside of a massive jump in his efficiencies, his role will mostly be the same.
Yeah. And to kind of just like, I guess, to think about who's going to get minutes, who's going to fall out of rotation, those bottom four all have a very much a possibility. Those top seven, however, okay, let's do this, Jonathan. Those are your top seven in rotation. Then let's say the Magic.
Well, I want to ask you something real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Gary on the team next year? Yes or no? Give me a percentage.
A percentage? I'm going to say he's got 1 year left on his deal. I'm going to say 75 to 80% he's still on the team.
I'm at 80%. I'm like 80% sure that Gary will still be on the team. Now, part of this question was like, how is the draft going to affect this? Right. I feel like if the Magic draft one of these guards, I think Gary is gone by the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As much as it pains me, but I think it's
fair. You don't like to hear that.
I don't like to hear it, but I understand this team's got to grow, and even though I think Gary can grow with the team, anyway. So listen, here's the next part, right? Like I said, let's say Gary, for the sake of all things considered, he is on the team to start the season. I think he gets minutes. I think he gets minutes until the day he's traded, to be honest with you. So let's say that's the top seven.
As we're getting closer to the trade deadline, if they want to move him, I could see him getting some very mysterious DNPs.
We'll see. Yeah.
Keep him healthy. You don't want him getting hurt right before the trade deadline if you're going to move him.
So you've got those 7 guys. And then let's say during the season you're running 10 guys. I hope you're running 9. Just for the sake of like tightening rotations, getting the guys high volume minutes that need to get it so you can win games. But let's say for the sake of this question, we're looking at the top 10 players from last season and then who falls out, all that stuff. You have 3 slots basically to fill. You can pick from the pool of the 4 below, or you can pick from the draft. You can pick from free agency. Let's say you add 1, right? So now you're 8 players in the rotation. No matter what, I think we're in agreement. Either one of those guys, pick 6 or 11, whichever one they use it on, or however it falls, will get minutes. They should.
Or both. I think if the Magic use both draft picks, both guys are playing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think
deep.
You and I have both said, though, we aren't shocked if the Magic don't use both those picks. So let's say in the most realistic space in our minds, they get one of them at least. So at this point, you're at 8 guys that are getting decent minutes, over 20 for sure. You got 2 others. I think this is tough because I genuinely didn't really talk through it in my own head, which is why we're doing this. I wanted to do it in real time with you, but it is tough. It's tough to really know. You need a forward.
If Jonathan Isaac is healthy, you can plug him in top 10 easily.
You're right, actually. You are right. So then you're 9. Okay. I totally forgot JI, even though we just had the conversation. You're at 9. This is if, whatever, all things considered. So you got 1 more.
And then I think if you get a backup big, whether it's drafting Taylor Hendricks or you sign a backup big in free agency, there goes Mo Wagner's minutes.
So I think
And
that
then
we
you're at 10.
agree. I think we agree that that last slot is, yes, filled by a big or Mo Wagner. And then what?
Yeah.
Caleb Houston's in Lakeland?
I don't think Caleb is in Lakeland. I think he's just like, your 12th,
Right in the
13th
bench.
guy. If you want to switch things up on a given night or somebody's out or it's garbage time, that was exactly his role. Like he might have Lakeland assignments next year like he did this
Right.
year. Because I think, Caleb understands, hey, I got signed to a 4-year, $8 million deal. He just needs to develop into a pro. Is he there yet? No. Like, does he have elements of that? Yes. But he needs to continue to develop if he's going to be like a rotation guy. And again,
So,
that's what I
yeah.
love more about Caleb than anything is because he knows if he's going to be an NBA player, he is going to be exactly this.
Right.
And he just needs to improve on that.
Here's the other thing. It's a contract year for Chuma Okeke.
I'm
Do
pretty
we
sure I said
see-
Okeke earlier. Man.
Oh, well,
If
there you
no
go.
other reason, get him off of the team so I can stop disrespecting him and messing up his name.
So here's the thing. Like you said, there's a world definitely where he's not on the team. And if you're like him, you're in a contract year. It's a prove it year. And is he going the RJ Hampton route where he's like, put me in Lakeland, put me in Lakeland, put me in Lakeland? You know what I'm saying? Let me show something. Like not to get minutes on Orlando, but just to showcase himself and play. And, because he's not going to get any run on the court as far as conditioning and game reps. Or is he going to just go to the front office and say, I'm cool with it if you guys are. Like, you can deal me.
I think RJ was legitimately more than anything. The kid just wanted to hoop. I'm not convinced that it was, hey, I need to go down and showcase myself. I think his play at the start of the regular season last year was enough. If any team just bothered to look at the tape, it was like, okay, this is a kid that could be a rotation player in the NBA. I think it was that simple. We weren't these like rocket scientists being like, how do we see that RJ Hampton is good and no one else can tell? Like, I think he really just wanted to play basketball more than anything in the world. And that's why I love RJ Hampton. I will root for that kid till the day I die. Anywhere he goes, I will be an RJ Hampton fan because at the end of the day, kid is making millions of dollars a year, just wanted to hoop. And he went and hooped. I don't think we see that with Chuma. Not that he wants to hoop, but I don't see him going, hey, I want to play in Lakeland.
Okay, but we're in agreement that if he were to do that, it wouldn't be to hoop, it'd be to showcase, though. Like, if anybody needs to showcase, it's Chuma.
I guess.
I mean, he was awful. Like, he absolutely needs to showcase some more talent that makes him appealing to teams. Because otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what happens to him. Like, he gets picked up and just... I don't even know. I don't know what happens to him. I don't know that he's out of the league. I have a
series of questions for you real quick. Magic have both picks. Your gut feeling. Do they use both picks? Just give me your gut feeling.
No.
Okay. So then they're going to trade those picks for a player. I think there's a realistic scenario here where, again, in this hypothetical, we're moving, probably the Bulls pick. You're probably keeping the more valuable pick for yourself. There's a very realistic scenario where Chuma Okeke needs to be included in a deal to make money match or work for whoever you're trading that player and that pick for. I think that's the most likely situation. I don't like to trade Chuma just to another team for what you see as a valuable asset. It would have to be another player in a very similar situation that has shown flashes and is just really obviously not in the right spot. But if you're trading Chuma for anything of value, you may have to add like an additional asset at this point to make it worth a team's while. Like you may have to add like a future second or something like that.
Yeah.
You're trading Chuma in a second for like a, I don't know, like a Goga Patadze equivalent. A player that's been on a team, just kind of never gotten the right opportunity, and the Magic are interested in them. I could see that happening. I just don't see a role for Chuma here in the same way that it was, I guess, less apparent for RJ that there wasn't really a role here. I think it's really obvious for Chuma that he doesn't have a role here, and it's probably best for both parties at this point for him to be moved.
Right. So, in looking at this, right, so we've compiled the 10 that would be getting sizable minutes. On that list, who's your shooters?
You're hoping for internal
if your
growth.
draft pick, your draft pick, I don't think it's a must. Obviously, you draft really, I don't know, but you've got Gary. Are we saying Jalen Suggs is a shooter?
How dare you?
I
How
think we
dare
are.
you?
Those are kind of rhetorical. Yes, we are saying that, but what your
I go
shooters,
back to
your best
Jeff's
shooters?
statement at the exit interviews. He believes they have a lot of good shooters on this team, but they will grow into good shooters. You know, you come into the league a lot of times, you don't just shoot the lights out right away. Some guys do, most guys don't. So
Right.
if we're looking at like what the Magic's goals are for next season, playoffs, you don't really have a ton of turnover on the roster. If you just have a lot of health, I think the Magic will find themselves there by default. And yes, I do buy into Jalen Suggs shooting better than 32% from the 3-point line next year. I do believe in Franz Wagner being a better 3-point shooter, Paolo Banchero being a better 3-point shooter, Wendell Carter being a better 3-point shooter, Jonathan Isaac being an improved 3-point shooter, Cole Anthony being an improved 3-point shooter. I don't know if the Magic are really going to be as focused on shooting as we all feel like maybe they should be outside of the draft. Like if they draft Grady Dick at 6 or at 7 or whatever, I won't be really all that surprised. If they draft Taylor Hendricks, who seems to project as a good 3-point shooter in the NBA, if they take him at 6 or 7, I won't be shocked at all. But I don't know that we're going to see them go out and sign like a free agent shooter. I would be surprised at that.
Yeah.
I don't think they just sell out for shooting this offseason.
Right. As much as people
talk to
might
me
want,
12 months from now, I will probably feel differently about that.
Unless we've grown into shooters.
Unless we've grown into shooters, right.
Because if you're saying there needs to be more shooting on a roster, though, like if you look at the 10 that we talked about, and you're like, man, we still need to add 1 or 2 shooters, it then becomes, okay, who are you taking out? Who are you willing to move on from? Because then the tough conversations start. And just what the JI and Mo or the big, like you need a big. So the big slot is good. Like they're going to be safe because you need another one naturally. And then it's what JI and the draft pick and then Gary. And those are really the ones you're choosing from. But then beyond that, it gets to be a very tough conversation.
See, I'm not
Gary's
even like
approaching
the tough decisions yet. Like in my mind, like
of course,
the 3-point shooting was obviously an issue, but health was overwhelmingly the issue. If the Magic are relatively healthy, they make the play-in this year.
Listen,
easily.
Man, I just want this team to be good enough at shooting threes that they don't. I need them to be good enough that they aren't skimping on 3-point attempts and passing them up and literally not scheming to take threes because they know they're terrible at making them. And that's the situation they were in last year. They were, you know what I mean? Like they were not good. We saw it all year. So yes, I agree with you, Health, but it was terrible.
I think the natural progression of the team, like part of the mandate this year is like, look, we're going to shoot more threes. Like Jalen, you've been in the gym all summer working. Franz, you've been in the gym I can't speak. Franz, you've been in the gym all summer. Markel, you've been in the gym all summer. Paolo has, Wendell has, Jonathan, all these guys have. Like part of us becoming a better team is going to be more 3-point attempts. The Magic are not going to be a great 3-point shooting team. I still think they're talented enough to win games in spite of their 3-point shooting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think that, yes, it says the stats show the pace that we were on. Yeah, you can do that. But if you're going to especially advance toward postseason success, that's a different conversation.
At some point, it absolutely needs to be addressed. I just
Yeah.
don't think now is like the tipping point where it's like, okay, now we absolutely have to go and get shooting. I don't think we're quite there yet. Like I said, 12 months, I will probably feel differently, but I'm not there yet.
All right.
I'm not saying we don't need shooting. I'm just not at the point where I'm like, I want the Magic to sell out for shooting.
Right. Of course, you just have to be rational about it. But if you can add shooters, you add shooters. All right. Next question, Jonathan, comes from Phoenix EV. He says, should the Magic try starting Fultz and Suggs together? Or do you feel the spacing would hurt too much? Should we try drafting and trading for a shooter instead, or to complement coming off the bench as a designated shooter type?
Yes, the Magic should start Suggs next to Fultz.
Yeah,
Am I
because
worried about the spacing? Yes. I feel like we just really talked about this a
but
lot.
yeah,
Like,
but that's what I'm saying.
Jalen
Like,
improves,
right.
Franz improves, Paolo improves, Wendell improves, Markel improves. Like,
yeah,
I need to see it. I need to see what it looks like.
I am not worried about Jalen Suggs now, like in terms of just the spacing, just because of what he was able to show us. I don't have any issue with what he was able to do near the end of the year. If that is who Jalen Suggs is going to continue to progress and get better in that category, I don't think anybody should be worried about spacing. We'll figure it out. And try drafting, trading for a shooter. I would love another shooter. We just talked about it, but that's kind of where I stand. Really don't need to honestly spend a lot of time on this question, because that was kind of the plan, just to kind of flesh out everything, and you eventually get to that type of question based on that conversation.
Well, I have a couple of wrinkles in this conversation. So, like, not only like do I just want to see Suggs in the starting lineup, I feel like now is the time, at least for Jalen, to like take another step towards like, hey, this is the future of the team.
Yeah.
So, are you just like totally sold on Gary Harris and you're just going to make a push for the playoffs no matter what? Or what I believe is Jalen is good enough and is enough of a difference maker when he's on the floor that what you're losing in shooting, you're gaining in other areas. Like, to me, Jalen is better off the dribble. Jalen is a better playmaker. Jalen is a better defender than Gary. So you're losing, some shooting, but you're gaining in some other areas. And I feel like it's just time to like make that another step towards the future with saying we're committed to Jalen. You're going into the starting lineup. As much as maybe in the short term, the better option is to have Gary in the starting lineup. Now, the other part of this question, should we try drafting or trading for a shooter to start to complement coming off the bench as a designated shooter type? I would be really surprised if the Magic traded for a starting shooting guard, unless you decide it's like a, Jaylen Brown, or like a, at this point, if Donovan Mitchell would become available, it's a guy that I would entertain trading for. I didn't think last year was the right time, but now maybe isn't the right time, but I think we're a lot closer to the right time. I would be really surprised if you're trading for a starting shooting guard this offseason. So the next question is really looking at the draft. Like, if we're drafting somebody, if we're drafting Taylor Hendricks, or we're drafting Grady Dick, or one of these other guys, Cam Whitmore, Dariq Whitehead, one of these guys, if you draft them, I'm very confident that they're coming off of the bench for most of the season, not even just to start the season. Unless you are in like the top 3 or top 4 where you're drafting Victor Wembanyama, when is a number 1 overall pick like not started? Like, that just does not happen.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson kind of changes the outlook of the guard position for this team if you draft Scoot Henderson. Does he start? I think there is a very high possibility that he does, but I also wouldn't rule out that maybe he does not. If you draft like a, Brandon Miller, or if you draft like I always mess up his name, Amin Thompson, or Alsar Thompson, do one of those guys start? Possibly. But we're talking about like if you jump into the top 4, if everything goes chalk, even if the Magic were to use both picks, I'm super confident that neither one of those guys in that range is going to start for this team. Even if you do need shooting, I think that tip-off game 1 next year, Jalen Suggs is your starting shooting guard.
If, and it's a big if, you're talking about those guys that, you don't think would be starting come game one. If those one of those guys were to start, that's not named Scoot, that's not named Wemby, that means that training camp went very well and that they balled out in summer league, they balled out in preseason, because Jalen Suggs has, quite frankly, earned a starting spot up to this point. So if one of those other guys that you take with 6 or 11 or wherever you fall is starting, I am surprised, but I don't hate it. I mean, Jalen, you can't say that he didn't look around and say, I got to improve from the perimeter. I got to improve playmaking in order to keep up in this rotation, because it's a competitive
I feel like
locker
it's much
room.
more likely that if that happens, it's saying more about Jalen than it is rookie X. And that to me would not be good.
Yeah. Right. Well, I just would be so shocked by that. I don't even know if I'm entertaining that thought.
Yeah, I would be shocked
reasoning.
if we take a guy at like 6 or 10 or 11 and they're starting game one. I would be shocked.
Yeah, there's something happened. But
either we hit freaking lightning in a bottle again and we got another freaking Franz Wagner, late in the lottery, which would be great. I just feel like it is so much more likely that if that would be the case, it would be like Jalen Suggs just forgot how to play basketball. Like I'm like 95% sure that Jalen Suggs is the starter to start the season next year. It just makes the most sense to me.
Well, as we know at this organization, Jonathan, what makes the most sense?
Facts.
Doesn't always happen, whether that be because of something we know about or because something happened.
And usually when that happens, it's because we were wrong.
It's true. We have been wrong before. Breaking news. We have been wrong.
And then our last question comes from the Magician321 on Twitter. He's asking, what are your guys' happiest memory as Magic fans? Keep up the great work, fellas. So my brain wants to say making the 2009 finals, beating the Cleveland Cavaliers, beating LeBron James. However, with most things, when you're 15 years old, 14 years old, you take things for granted. And you just think, oh, this is supposed to happen. This is going to happen all the time kind of thing. And even though that is the single, greatest achievement, in my, memory of being a Magic fan, as an organization, the greatest achievement that they've had, that's not my happiest moment. My happiest moment as a Magic fan was last year, the Magic winning the number 1 overall pick. I think it was a mix of things. The environment had a lot to do with it. The fact that we were surrounded by so many Magic fans, and just like what it means looking back on it, that the Magic like finally got their guy after years and years and years.
Yeah. But I share the same sentiment. I think what it boils down to is like the happiest moment is absolutely the draft lottery, which is, people can look at it and be like, that's super sad. And it's like, yeah, well, I think what it boils down to for me is just like in what aspects of my life was I really able to celebrate with Magic fans. The other thing, honestly, is game 1 in Toronto. That one, for me, I don't, as much as the finals is great. I was 13? I was 13, so I didn't get to really share it with anybody besides like my parents and nobody else really in school. I don't even know. That makes me like 7th, 8th grade. I just feel like I had like a couple friends that were Magic fans and appreciated it, but I didn't get to really experience it with people. But the lottery, I experienced it with people. That's kind of the driving force for me and what can really become my favorite memory as a Magic fan. When I wasn't super involved even in Magic Twitter when we won game 1 in Toronto, I don't think. So I didn't really get to celebrate that way either. I was at home watching in Lakeland because I believe I was still working for Lakeland or had just finished my time in Lakeland with the Magic. And I was just kind of watching with Lauren at home, celebrating, sprinting around our apartment by myself. I would trade that lottery watch party last year for that experience. Honestly, I'd trade those any day to be able to do those things and just hang out with Magic fans. Do that. So yeah, I definitely think that's for sure the favorite memory.
Yeah, the Toronto game one is definitely up there, but like that whole week, like beating Toronto was amazing, but like it was just like the cherry on top. Clinching in Boston, like the Sunday before that, where we beat Boston 116 to 108 in Boston and like clinching the postseason for the first time in 7 years. Like to me, that was like, oh my gosh, that's an honorable mention for me. That was just amazing. It was like a 7-day span. Like you beat the Celtics. Then we destroyed the Hawks. The Hawks was before the Boston game. Sorry. Then we beat the Hornets a few days later in Charlotte. And then you end the week that Saturday with the DJ Augustine game winner. It's just like, man, at that time, I was the happiest I was in, aeons with the Magic. So those are our favorite Magic moments and happiest memories as Magic fans. Send us more questions. Maybe we have the voicemail where you can call 407-603-1189, I believe is the number. We'll have producer Kevin double check that for us. I'll correct it if that's not correct. 407-603-1189, I believe is the voicemail where you can call and just leave us a voicemail. But now we're going to go and transition into Tankathon.
Take me there, baby.
Luke, last week...
Actually, Jonathan, what if we switch this thing up? What if I give you the viewing experience?
All right, let's do it.
I'll be Mark Tatum this time around.
All right.
And let me pull up the old Tankathon real quick because we're doing this on the fly. Yeah, so last week we had, best friend Drew. Not last week. That was freaking 3 days ago. We had best friend Drew on the pod, and we dropped to 8. We dropped 2 spots to 8, right? We kept, the Bulls pick. And then, we dropped to 8. Week before that, obviously, as you guys know, the first week we did this whole, lottery type reveal and simulation. Magic went number 1 and the Bulls pick conveys to the Magic at 11. So Jonathan, let's do this again. All right.
Last week Drew ran it himself while he was still on with us and got number 1. So that made me feel a lot better.
All right. Are you ready for this, Jonathan? Let's go. I'm going to hit the button here. All right. At 14, with the 14th pick, goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. With the 13th pick, goes to the Toronto Raptors. With the 12th pick, goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. 11th pick, Chicago Bulls, Orlando Magic. 10th pick, the Dallas Mavericks. The 9th pick, the Utah Jazz. And with the 8th pick, the Washington Wizards. With the 7th pick, the Indiana Pacers. And with the 6th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs. With the 5th pick, the Detroit Pistons. With the 4th pick, the Houston Rockets. 3rd pick, Portland Trail Blazers. With the 2nd pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic. And the Charlotte Hornets get the number 1 spot.
That was fun.
So it's a good time, right? That was a good time.
I was really hoping we'd be there at 1, but I'll take 2.
I know. You'll definitely take 2. Scoot, probably. Here you come. But so in that simulation, really shake-up starts here. San Antonio drops 3 spots to 6, from 3 to 6. Detroit drops 4 spots to 5. Houston drops 2 spots to 4. Portland up 2. Magic up 4. Charlotte up 3. So the top 3 picks all jump. Crazy. 2 and 11. I think any day of the week, you and I walk away happy and partying into the night in Orlando on Wall Street.
Yeah, there'll be like that split second of like, oh, we're not number 1, but we'll be like, hey, we're freaking number 2. Like that's still amazing. So
great.
I think really looking forward to it. I just keep like replaying and visualizing and manifesting in my mind us getting the number 1 pick again. That would be the best night of all time, and I hope that happens because it would be really freaking fun, obviously. And I was watching Wembanyama highlights today, and I was like, man, this kid is amazing. So we'll see what happens. So, but Luke, I think that's going to do it for us for this one.
Yep, think we're good to go. We will see you guys inside of a week, which is crazy. 5 days we'll be packing the street.
And you guys are going to hear from us again this coming Monday, just like every week, Monday and Thursday. That's going to be the day before the draft lottery. So if you haven't already, folks, again, mark your calendars, clear your schedule. For Tuesday night, May 16th, we're going to be downtown Orlando at Wall Street Plaza with hundreds of Magic fans getting ready to watch the NBA draft lottery. We're going to have things like trivia. There's going to be Michelob Ultra specials. I think it's $4 Michelob Ultra specials on bottles and draft. And we're giving away a Paolo Banchero autographed basketball to one lucky attendee that night. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And looking forward to just seeing all of you and celebrating getting the number 1 overall pick again. I'm manifesting that, and I'm sticking to it.
Absolutely. And for our listeners who obviously won't be able to make it, they might be more concerned with, well, when are you guys dropping episodes next week? So we're going to drop one Monday, and then we're going to record Tuesday night, and that will go up pretty much as soon as producer Kevin can get on.
Fast as he can move his little fingers.
Yep. To some great Wi-Fi as well, and get that all edited and uploaded. So that'll be up pretty much as soon as it can be on Tuesday. I would recommend, I would suggest probably, I don't know, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. at probably.
I mean, if we get Wemby, it won't be 1 a.m. I promise you all that. It will not be 1 a.m.
If we get Wemby, your adrenaline can carry you through. You'll last without an episode for a little bit, for a few hours. But and that'll kind of make our second episode. We will then not release one on Thursday. We'll just have our 2 episodes
Monday,
next week,
and then we'll have a lottery episode, Tuesday
Monday,
night
and then
Wednesday
a late
morning.
Tuesday, Wednesday morning. Yep. So just wanted to clarify for those that can't make it. I know you guys are probably more concerned with when you're going to be able to hear reactions. Obviously, as usual, as we did last year with the lottery, on that night, we were able to, just grab people at random. We had Maddie World Peace, definitely a few beers in, and come on for a few short minutes. And we had just a lot of good fun. So we'll be able to do that. YouTube might be a more enjoyable viewing pleasure for you for that lottery reaction episode. Hopefully we're there talking about beautiful, angelic Victor Wembanyama. We'll see.
And speaking of YouTube, if you're not going to be able to attend, we're going to be live streaming the watch party and like everybody's reactions through YouTube. So if you're not subscribed already, now is a good time to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The6Man Show. You can subscribe and click the little notification thing so you can get notified when we go live and whenever we post new episodes, all that good kind of stuff. So yeah, Tuesday is going to be super exciting. But we'll talk, it'll be our last time to talk about the draft lottery this coming Monday. And then, we're going to see you all Tuesday. Very, very much looking forward to it. But that is going to do it for this episode. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The 6 Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6 Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!